there! Hello, hello, Summer Cohort 1 of the Online Course Redesign and Faculty Certification Program. This is your instructor, Jacob Spradlin, coming to you with your weekly Tuesday tune-in. I hope that it finds you safe and dry. I don't know about y'all, but we got some crazy rain and wind and hail and stuff in our area. So I hope everyone's safe, first of all. Second of all, I wanted to talk about where we are, right? So yesterday was the due date for Module 1, and that's the Module 1 in the course. And from the submissions that I've seen, you guys are just having a good old time. I especially like in the Online Learners and You journal, many of you are talking about working with your students and getting connected and cutting down on anxiety when you think about that first interaction that you're having and taking into account those different student perspectives when doing so. And I thought there was real value in that and was super excited to get a look at that. Then had some great self-assessments that were turned in. Remember, your self-assessment is just you thinking about either your online course that you've taught in the past or you're teaching now, or your hypothetical future online course as well. So again, good there. And those course descriptions, love it, love it, love it. I love how some of you are really getting them connected to the course and what it's all about. And I really like almost how, for some of you, you brought in a little bit of that narrative edge and storytelling around why it was important that they were in the course and what they were going to get out of it. And then getting your own bona fides in there and talking about, where you come from and what your expertise is around the subject matter. Just loved it. Love seeing those extended course descriptions that you guys put together. Love seeing that happen. Again, keep in mind that was Module 1. The quote-unquote due date for it was obviously Sunday, but again, we're not taking away birthdays for late work. That being said, I do want to remind you that you can always check and see where we are in a couple different ways, right? I can go to, I can check out under the course calendar and look at the most current due dates, but the best place to look is in my syllabus under course information, right? You'll notice here under the syllabus, I can go in and scroll down. I'm in the instructor view, so it's a slightly different view than yours, but you're gonna see here that our next due date is going to be this Thursday, and that's going to be Module 2, which is over navigation and how students navigate through the course. You'll notice in this course, we do a backwards kind of navigation where the most current unit is always on the top. And I will show you how that's done in a future Tuesday tune-in. This week, we're going to focus on something else. But thinking about navigation is not just, thinking about, are my units symmetrical? Do my instructor or do my students essentially interact the same kind of way for each unit? Sometimes that's important for the course and sometimes it's not, depending upon the experience you're trying to get across and the learning objective you want the students to reach. So keep that in mind as you're answering those questions and thinking about your own courses in the future. That being said, Module 3 is due Sunday, and that's where you really start to think about some accessibility things, and we look at the elements of design for your course. And on that note, I want to talk a little bit about, again, Thursday and Sunday are regular cadence, but the what I wanted to show you is a way that kind of wraps up, I think, the different perspectives that we talk about in the Online Learners and You video, but also gets into a little bit of what you'll touch on in Module 3, and that's the elements of design and how thinking about accessibility when you work on your course is a super important thing to do. So, that being said, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how students might digest course material. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this preview course I have here, and I'm going to do it as a student so you can see how students might intersect with the course. And then I'm going to show you the other side of it, kind of where faculty can look at things too. A tool that we are fortunate enough to have for those of us that use the Blackboard that we all use here across our 5 shared services institutions is Blackboard Ally. It really is an ally for your students and for you when it comes to accessibility in your courses. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how, as a student, I can intersect and interact with content in a way that's meaningful to me. And when I think about accessibility, I go beyond just the, am I dealing with a visual impairment? Am I dealing with something that maybe I have an audio impairment? Maybe there's something going on there. I go beyond that step. I go beyond that and think about, okay, what's the way that the student is best intersects with my content, right? I think about, for instance, some people like to hear or see subtitles even while they watch a video, just for a better understanding. Not that they can't hear, but it's just something they like doing. Or I think about working students who might be listening to a document while driving to a commute, or better yet, listening while they read. Anything like that works out. So there's a tremendous benefit to your students, and I would advise you to share this with your students so that they're familiar with this benefit as they make their way through your courses. So, for example, I might go down to my my Going Organic module here, and I might go into a specific lesson 1, and determining organic foods and benefits. So, I want you to see at the top right-hand side of this page, this is just a lesson I've written up for my students. But at the top, well, I didn't write it up. Full disclosure, this is just a dummy course of fake stuff with fake students in it. It was provided to us and we use it for training. But up at the top right-hand side of this ultra document that the student is intersecting with, you will see that there is an A, which is the universal symbol for accessibility, but it's also a shortcut for Ally. And you'll see a little download arrow right there, right? So in this regard, this is where they can access this document maybe in an alternative way. You might be wondering, well, what does that mean? Well, as the student, I can click on that A, and it will open up another window for me where I can choose how I interact with that document. And this is amazing. I can download something for an EPUB, so I can have it go right to like my electronic reader if I wanted to. Or if I might be visually impaired and I've got an electronic braille reader, those are kind of cool. Or I want an audio-only version of this thing. Oh, that would be amazing, right? I can listen to this entire thing, so that's kind of cool. A Beeline reader. A Beeline reader lets me intersect with the content, and this one is specifically geared towards students that might have dyslexia or might have a hard time focusing in on text. That's the Beeline reader. The Immersive reader is Microsoft's fully reader, which is nice because it'll let the student isolate for just a line. It'll read the text out to them. It'll read it fast. It'll read it slow. It'll make it bigger. It'll make it smaller. It's a very accessible reader for your students to intersect with. And then lastly, there's the translated version. So if English isn't my native language, but I really want to get a little more understanding out of it, I can change to Spanish or Portuguese or French or Chinese. All of those things I can do because I have access to this alternative format download as a student. So wherever there's a file in my course or anything like that, I can look for the ability to download. So here you will see there's not an attached file here, but if there was, next to that attached file will be that same A, so I can download it the same way. Again, Ally is a wonderful tool for your students that they don't even know about in most cases. So it's a good idea, I think, as you introduce your course to them, is provide them, hey, you know what? Some of you might be commuting. Some of you might have different ways you intersect with my content. Let me show you about this neat tool that lets you get to the content in a way that makes sense for you, right? So, okay, that's kind of cool, right? So now what I want to do is I want to show you another way that I think it's kind of cool as well. Oh, look, here's one. This is a Word document in the course that's right here. A student could download that Word document in a way that makes sense for them and listen to it or do whatever, not just an Ultra document, but a PDF, a Word document, that kind of a thing. So I'm going to exit out of the student preview and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about, okay, well, that's nice. How can I check to see if my course is up to snuff, right? What's going on here? So for instance, if I go and look at the food selection, and go and look at what my body needs, for instance, you'll note that I've got these little gauges next to these images. That's kind of cool, right? So it lets me know that it's accessible. I can click on it to see more information about it. So if it was red, it would tell me right here, hey, what's wrong with it? Oh, here's what you can do to change it. In particular, this image is marked as decorative. I would actually change that image, and I would change the alt text and inside Blackboard and make it a little bit more like this is just an example of a bunch of food making a food pyramid, right? And that's easy to do in Blackboard. I could click on my three dots next to the document, hit edit, go to my image, hit the pencil, and then I would uncheck mark as decorative, and I would be a visual representation of a food pyramid made out of real food. And then I could have my students choose whether they want to view it or download or just view it and hit save. But then I've gone ahead and taken that extra bit to give them a real textual representation of what that image is. If I'm using pictures in there, even if they're not necessarily tied directly to the meaning of the content, I still want to give my students that may not intersect with those images at all because they're visually impaired equal access to it. So I want to tell them what's in that image. But I digress. If there's a problem with this image, it would see red or orange, and I would click on it to get access and learn how to make those changes. You'll talk about this. You'll have access to a video and a guide for this in Module 3. But what's even better is I can check my entire course for accessibility issues. And I can do that by going on my main course page, going to Books and Tools and view Course and Institution Tools. And the first tool listed is the Accessibility Report. I click that bad boy, and I am taken to a window that shows, oh wow, I looks like I have some things. Content with the easiest issues to fix first. Cool. Oh look, it even tells me where I have some issues, right? So I can go, okay, let's start and work our way through. Oh, here it is. My organic food chart ping might have some issues. So click on it. And it will actually open up the food chart and be like, hey, Jacob, you don't have any alternative description for what this is at all. I might be like, oh, that's not a good idea. So what I will tell you now with this food chart picture is this is a place where I would probably want to go the extra mile. I would go ahead and add in an alternate description, but then I would do an attached file that really goes into detail about what this picture represents, unless it's already in the text, right? If it's already in the text, that's great. But I would also come in and say, what this is a representation of. So here is the instructor. I would say organic farming and productivity infographic, right? See file in document for transcript of image, if there was one that I wanted to add. And then I can hit add, and boom, it fixes that. Now, it says the image has contrast issues. Now, that's some of these things are going to be, again, you're providing this data in other ways. But keep in mind, this does tell you something, that some people might have a problem seeing the text. Like, for example, right now, I have a hard time reading this at this case. But the white text on that orange background might not be the best to use. So think about those things as you're thinking about images that go in your course and good stuff like that. Again, we'll get in there in Module 3. You'll learn a little bit more about it. So that being said, I hope that this little tooltip, if you will, is helpful for you. I look forward to seeing you intersect with the navigation module as well as the elements of design module as we approach Thursday and Sunday. I appreciate all the effort you're putting into it. I know Elliot and Faith do as well. We look forward to it. Be sure to take a look at your feedback. Again, as we offer feedback and tips and other wonderful things as you make your way through the course. And I hope you have the great rest of your day, that you stay safe and stay dry. Thanks again for listening to this and watching this Tuesday Tune In.